Hey guys, what's up? In today's video, we're going to explore some of the main differences between black and white and color photography and why you should or shouldn't choose one over the other. Let's get to it. This question really comes up a lot when I meet with potential wedding clients and they ask me this simple thing: how do you determine between which photos are going to be black and white and which photos are going to stay in color? And the answer for that is obviously very subjective to start. It's all really a question of taste and personal aesthetics and preferences, but I do have my own reasons which I will share with you today. So what is it about black and white photography that makes people so attached to it? For me personally, I really enjoy shooting black and white film, but when it comes to shooting digitally, I really gravitate towards color. I think one of the reasons I love black and white film so much is because it makes me feel nostalgic. All the photographers that inspired me when I was just getting into this whole thing were American street photographers from the 50s and 60s and 70s, a lot of them shooting black and white film. As it goes, we as people are conditioned to think that whatever is black and white is old. Either old movies are black and white, old photographs are black and white. So when we see a photograph that is in black and white, it immediately takes us to that place of thinking to the past and thinking about history. On the other hand, when I shoot digital, I really gravitate towards color. I do enjoy that. It makes me feel like things are a bit more realistic. We see in color, so I can feel that I can connect to the photo a bit better. I've never considered myself as a purist, so for me, moving between black and white and color photography is something that I actually enjoy doing. If you're an analog photographer, of course that decision has to come very early on with the kind of film you choose to put inside your camera. Either black and white or a color, and I show them in the reverse order, either color film or black and white film. For example here, this is a Portra 160 speed for medium format, so it's 120, and Kodak Tri-Ax 400 for 35mm cameras. If you shoot digital, you can definitely make that decision later on in post-production. There's definitely value in both black and white and color photography. If I choose color over black and white in photography, it's probably due to the fact that the color in the photograph is the main subject. A reason for me to go to black and white from a color photo would be either if the color doesn't serve any purpose in the image, or maybe the color is just not great. Another reason to convert to black and white, in my opinion, is when the moment in the image is more important than the color. And what I mean by that is if what's happening in the photograph, the actions, the people, the movement, if that's something that I want to make sure my viewer focuses on, black and white might be a better choice. When you strip away all the colors, it really allows your viewer to focus on what is happening within that frame, instead of just getting distracted by colors that may not contribute to the photograph being successful. Before we move on, if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with future videos. Let's dive in and take a look at a few things that make color a better choice for some photographs. To illustrate this point, I've reached out to my good friend and amazing photographer Cal Pinkney to share some photos with us that we can look at. I specifically asked Cal to send 2 versions of each photograph, one in color and one in black and white. There are so many things I love about this photo by Cal. The composition, the playfulness, and of course the colors. The green roof, the beautifully painted houses in the back, that pop of color, the traffic signs to the left side, and that brown coat worn by the old lady walking by a black wall. One thing you can see immediately in a black and white version of this photo is that the image got really flat. All the different colors that really helped create depth in the photograph are now gone. Notice the old lady with the brown coat walking by the black background. Now in black and white, she gets blended into the background and we completely lose that part of the image that was so unique. Here's another great example as to why, for some photographs, color is just the right way to go. A single blue house in the middle of a construction site is surrounded by natural colors as well as typical yellow construction colors. If you switch this photo to black and white, you can see how immediately things get flat again. We lost the yellow color of the cranes and the diggers. The blue color of the house doesn't exist anymore, and it looks like another shade of gray. You wouldn't even know that it's necessarily blue. Here's a fun photo that I took today on my way back home. It's just a bit of water trickling down a driveway, and I spotted the light coming through, reflecting the Christmas light from the house. If I decided to convert this photo to black and white, it would completely defeat the purpose of taking it in the first place. The reason I approached this scene to take the photo was the color, the way it reflected through the water, and how it was shining at me in combination with the light, creating this beautiful, beautiful, vibrant sort of path through the driveway. Let's talk a little bit about composition and how shooting in black and white versus color can really change the way your viewer takes in all of those elements in the frame. Here's an interesting example, a photo that I took a couple days ago on the lake, and it's just really as basic as it gets. A bunch of rocks, a bunch of geese and ducks, and a surfer. In terms of composition, converting this photo to black and white, I feel that personally helps me understand and take in the different compositional elements a bit easier. I can clearly see the division between the three areas in the frame, understand what the main subject is, and pay more attention to the relation between the different elements in the photo. You can argue that the color version of this does the same thing, but for me, having the color is just not necessary here. I know that the water is blue, I know that the rocks are sort of gray with a little bit of warmth from the sun on them. I already know those things, it's nothing new. So I'd much rather a black and white version to just focus the attention to the composition more and all the different things that are happening here. Here's another photograph that I really love that I initially started using in the color version and eventually converted to black and white and was really happy with what it looked like. The reason I like this photograph much more in black and white is again because it enables me to break down the composition and digest it much easier as a viewer. If you look at the lines, the leading lines of the waves moving you from the center of the frame, from the bottom part towards the left, towards the surfer jumping off the pier, that is the main direction that is happening here in terms of compositional elements. Again, the pier coming from the right end of the frame all the way to the left, meeting that viewer jumping off the pier is another direction that works compositionally. And just the fact that the surfers are silhouetted to some extent makes them stick out more in the black and white version versus the color. That's it for today, guys. I hope this was helpful and gave you a little bit of an insight into my decision making when it comes to black and white versus color photography. If you have any questions or comments or anything you want to say or share, please hit me in the comment box below. Happy New Year, and I will see you next time.